All right, what's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully, everybody is having a great week so far. I know it is only Tuesday, but make sure that you guys are having a good time. So, real quick, obviously, I want to jump onto the charts with you guys, make sure that we're identifying some great opportunities, looking at the charts and seeing if there's any trades we can place, answer any questions that you guys may have, and really making sure that you guys are actually learning and being educated in the Forex market. So that way you can identify these type of opportunities even on your own. So good morning, everybody. Again, hopefully everybody's having an amazing week so far. Also being to Tuesday, the volatility in the market hopefully will pick up. Excuse me. Hopefully it'll pick up shortly. I know that we do have some US news coming out at 8:30, so we'll actually take a look at that as the news is released as well. So that way we can identify if there is in fact volatility. It'll also show us the direction of what the market will be doing. So there's a lot that we'll be able to look at and really tackle for today. So again, good morning, everybody. Let me see real quick, make sure that I'm in the chat with you guys. Perfect. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. If there's any specific markets that you would like to take a look at, also let me know as well. It's really important that I speak on relevance, really help you guys learn. So always ask if you need help. So my bad. I think I'm getting sick again. It's crazy. This weather in New York City is insane. I haven't seen snow. It's getting hot. It feels like spring, and it like completely threw me off. So if I sound terrible, my bad. I'm just taking a quick look at some U.S. cross pairs with the news that will be coming out a little bit later, actually for core CPI. We will start seeing a lot of volatility within these markets as far as the U.S. cross pair is concerned. What I will be looking at is maybe a continued sell to the downside for some of these markets. I think the dollar will increase in value when the news is released. I might actually get into a risky trade on NZD USD. But I'm just going to take a quick look at this before I answer any questions and really mark up something else, because there could be a potential trade setup with this right now. So let me actually just mark this up for you guys. Oh, actually, it's a PRZ zone, if anything. And then we'll just put sell kill zone. So just to start off like that, I do like this potential idea that we're getting with NZD USD. I would wait, well, we have to wait until the news is in fact released, but I might just get into a very risky trade on this because I personally like the way that this is set up. So let me actually just add that for us. And now, as you see, I'm not looking at a specific Fibonacci ratio. I do get the question a lot of, do I always focus on the 61.8, or what fib ratio should we place our entries off of? You're not basing it off of a specific ratio or level. You want to identify where the most action is made and where the confluence meets as well, right? Because you can see here we have a level of structure that's being met, which is this entire zone. And then you can also see a fib ratio, which is currently the 50% being respected. Now, it can push up to the 61.8 without a doubt, but I'm only identifying where confluence is being made. So the next step I would need, well, two steps I would need, is obviously for the news to be released. And then after the news, obviously the technical standpoints would be the candlesticks, how they reacted from that level. We'll obviously see if it's rejected, because core CPI will give you a pretty strong move to the downside or upside if it wants to, right? But I'm seeing if we can use this technical standpoint as a potential sell zone for NZD USD. Now, myself and students, we're currently in on sells on this already. So I want to see if this can, in fact, push lower for us. And if that is the case, this is what our trade setup would look like. Now, please do not place this as a trade right now. I'm only identifying what my trade would look like, so that way you guys could understand the full breakdown, right? You look for a trade setup, you're looking for a entry, you then identify your risk. Where would you put your stop loss? For me personally, my stop loss is going to go right above the previous highs. That's only 20 pips. That's perfect. My take profit is going to be at the next level of relevant structure. So we can see here, like that being, this being the low point, this would be the entire zone, at least for that. Now I do take into account other forms of structure here. And I'm on the 1 hour time frame because you can see the actual detailed structure. You won't be able to really see that on the daily or on the weekly, right? So I'm only using the 1 hour to identify my structure or my take profit points right now. And you can see here, so this will be my first take profit. So that would be 50 pips. And again, for anybody who's joining onto the call right now, we have not placed a trade on this. This is just an idea of how we identify and break it down. And then this will be my ultimate take profit. So about 80 pips in total, which would not be a bad trade setup. So I will be identifying this for us if in fact the news does come out positive for the dollar. If that is the case, we will see NZD USD start to drop pretty heavily. So that's just to start us off with, because I was looking at this right before you guys got onto the call. Please do not place a trade on this. If you have, it's a really bad idea. But we should be on as the news is released, so we'll be able to identify everything together. And if there is going to be an entry, I'll be able to tell you guys to actually pull that trigger, so that way you guys can profit. But for everybody else who has joined on, welcome. Good morning. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to let me know. I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys succeed in your own trading career or journey, if you will. And if there's any specific markets you would like for me to take a look at, let me know what market it is and why you want me to take a look at it. What's good, Scott? What's good, baby? So yeah, if there's any questions, let me know. If there's any markets you guys want to take a look at, also let me know what that is and the reasoning behind it. And why I say the reasoning behind it is because a lot of times you guys be like, yo, gold, up or down? I'm like, okay, that's not going to help you get anywhere. But if you're like, okay, but I'm looking at this because I have a trend line here, I just want to make sure this is accurate. Even if you want to post your analysis in our Discord, and I'll take a look at it from there, so that way I can see it a little bit better, that's even better. Like, I could do something like that as well. And again, this is just interaction, really help you guys progress in your own journey. So if not, I'll go ahead and let me take a look at gold, because I was looking at a potential trade setup with this as well. But again, we have to make sure that we're respecting the idea of news. For anybody who did not see that, you can see at 8:30, we're going to have core CPI, which is going to definitely give us some volatility in the majority or all of our US cross pairs, gold being one of them. So I do want to see what initially happens with this. Now you can see I have this structure marked there. Now all I'm identifying is this being our low. My trading view like lagged there for a second. I thought I lost you guys. But as you can see here, this being our structural low. If I see a break below this point, that means gold is it's definitely going to continue to push down much lower, which in my opinion, I think it is. I do think that and we can just see here, we scale out to the 4 hour time frame, you can see here how the market is already starting to show the bearish reversal. This was our previous high point, excuse me, and you can see we're creating a newer low and now, or a newer lower high and now newer lower low. And the same thing even here. We are now getting new lower highs and lower lows, right? So I want to be able to continue where the money is going, but we got to have confirmations for that to actually happen. So in order for us to identify and break down this chart on gold, right? Actually, yeah, we'll do it from the higher time frame, right? You can see here, again, if you've been on the calls before, if you've been on the sessions, we always speak on gold. We know that we created this double top. The double top has been broken and confirmed that this is a reversal, right? We are seeing market structure being broken. Higher highs and higher lows are no longer a thing, and we are now creating lower lows and lower highs. You can see even with the characteristics of our candlesticks here, bearish engulfing. And there's a trick with candlesticks that you would need to use as well, right? You see how this has little to no wick to the downside, and you can kind of say the same thing here. What that means is that sellers really didn't have any problem making that move. There was no buyer's rejection. So with no buyer's rejection, that's definitely confirming that sellers are more in control than they were before. And again, the characteristics of your candlesticks is a huge thing. I'm on the daily time frame, and what we're seeing are wicks to the upside, and wicks equal rejection. That is the most truest statement anybody will ever tell you, that wicks equal a level of strong rejection. And you're going to find that at a level of price, significant price. And you can see here, I'll tighten this up a little bit as far as the structure, right? Just because we scaled down to a smaller time frame. I'm looking at that exact point, but this would be considered the zone. And you can see how the market created that level of resistance and started selling even further. Again, sellers confirming that they are fully in control. I can even draw like that. And you have a break of your counter trend line. We scale down further, because again, I'm just breaking gold down completely. I'm getting an understanding from the higher time frame. Saw the double top, it was confirmed. Scaled down to smaller time frame, I can see that level of resistance was held and new lows were created. That counter trend line was broken. And currently, right now, we're looking at a ranging market. Now, I don't like my zone. I don't like my zones being that big. So I'm just going to try to cheat a little bit because we know exactly where the market is. Yes, I do know there are small breaks above. That's completely fine. I just like my charts to look as clean as possible. And this being the structural low. That's important, right? Because, excuse me, if we do see a break below, especially as news comes out, that's just going to further confirm that sellers are in control, and we'll go ahead and look for continued sells. Now, when the news is released, can you immediately place your trade? Yeah, you can in a sense, especially if you track it on Forex Factory or whatever platform and website that you use. If you do get that news release accurately, told or seen by your end, it is possible to be profitable with it. Or, sometimes that move is so instantly made in the market that you could place it, because if it does come out positive for the dollar, gold will just give a strong push to the downside. So you probably don't have to wait too late to place your trade. So I'm going to see if we could do that here today, because I want to identify any potential sells with this, especially if it breaks below. Even if we don't get to place a trade, even if there is no strong volatility and doesn't break immediately down throughout on our session, what we can do is allow that breakout to happen and then go for that retest. Nothing different, right? It's just it's still the same technical standpoint. So if we do get breaks below, we will look for either the break and retest trade, or if you're able to even place it as it's pushing lower, I would say do that as well. But yeah, just taking a look at gold again. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. If not, I'll just continue. For the majority of the time, I feel like a lot of y'all just be like, yo, I'm just gonna listen, because y'all hit me up after. I think actually somebody just messaged me from the YouTube live. Yeah, somebody just did. What is their question? Oh, GU. All right, and you could comment here. You don't have to message on Facebook. That's weird. All right. Oh, actually, speaking on GU, let me actually see this really quick, because if you're not a part of our Discord, we actually put out a trade signal. Oh, you put, okay, I see who that is. I got to message somebody back. All right, so we did place a sell limit here on Gbpjpy USD, so I want you guys to be able to see that as well. Again, it's just me trying to see if we can identify a strong move while the news is happening, or even before. But I did put a sell limit on GU because I think this would be probably the best entry, or I figured it might be, because I figured it might have pushed up just a little bit more. But if you guys would like to place that sell limit, by all means, feel free to do so. I'll give that back to you guys right now. And then what I'm looking at is just this previous level of structure here. And I also have this weird little strategy, I don't know how to really explain it, where I'll identify the most accurate structure point. I'll just kind of like show you with this. Being able to identify strong structure points using this weird strategy. I know it looks insane, but yeah, it's been very accurate. It's something I use in my pretty much everyday trading, as far as, with my price action. So if you guys would like to place that trade, feel free to do so. It'll look something like this. And again, this is rather risky, because what we're doing is we're trading pretty much before the news. We're trying to trade the news, acting as if we know what the release is when we don't. But I'm just using technical standpoints to identify these potential opportunities. Well, understand the risk behind it if you do, in fact, place that sell limit. So I'm looking at about a 50 pip stop loss. And overall, I'll be looking at a 260 pip take profit. And I know there's really not much of a technical idea on this, but I'll always trust my weird little strategy here. So yeah, you guys can profit off that if you would like as well. Everybody Gucci? What's good, everybody? Good morning. Nobody got questions? All right. So actually, I did actually take a buy on Euro GBP, and that hit our stop loss, just full transparency. So the reason being is I was looking at this, and this is actually a really good time to explain why you let your trade develop a little bit more instead of rushing into a trade. And I don't necessarily think it was a rush trade. I did actually like the way that it was setting up and how it was rejecting. Excuse me. But we were creating this double bottom here, and I was at least looking for, if it did, and obviously this wasn't here at the time. We placed our entry was something like this. And this is just a really good example of why to let your trade develop. Our stop losses, I think, just roughly around there. I was looking at least for a 40 pip move because this level of structure here was being held pretty nicely. So I wanted to see if this would actually push at least back up to this level of structure. Because if this at least was not a double bottom, the bare minimum would have been about 40 pips, if I'm correct. And then if that was then broken, we now have caught that entire reversal. But as you see here, the reason why you stay patient on the charts, the reason why you let your trade develop and you wait for actual confirmations, you would be a lot, you make better decisions in that sense, right? Because this could have been more of a profitable trade if I look for the actual sells. And you can see here, we do have the break below. So it's not a bad thing because what we're going to now identify is potential break and retest, right? If in fact we do get that, I'll go ahead and place that trade for us, or share the analysis with you guys. I'm over here talking about thinking you guys are all on the auto trader, but I'll make sure that I send this as a signal as well for you guys. Good. I was actually going to give you guys this as a, or everybody this in the Discord as a buy and a trade signal. I'm happy I didn't. But right now, this is what we can actually look at for Euro GBP. What's good, LA? What's good? So let me actually just write this out right here as well for you guys. Sell, kill, zone. And again, I'm not going to immediately place my trade there. I'm going to take my my learned experience from immediately trying to catch a double bottom before it's happening in a downtrend, right? Some things you don't do. And again, just full transparency, these are mistakes that everybody makes. I make them as well. But now this is how you adjust. You continue where the market is going. We now have confirmations because we do in fact have the break below that level of structure, showing that sellers are in fact still continuing to sell this market. Let me actually just redo that. Did not mean to move that. So since we can see that this is creating new lower lows and lower highs, market structure is showing bearish continuation, this will be our now sell kill zone, no longer looking for any buys. So if anybody does in fact want to have the same, or mark this up and have the same analysis, so that way if in fact it does reach this area, by all means, feel free to do so. I'll also share this in the Discord for you all as well. And it'll literally be something like this. And the last confirmation we would need is obviously a fib ratio being respected and how candlesticks react around that area. That's the biggest thing as well. Candlesticks will play, or always play, a giant factor in anybody's trading. They dictate what the market's next move will be, right? If you can start identifying the characteristics of candlesticks, whether they're bearish or bullish, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. If you're identifying bearish candle variance in a bearish market at levels of structure, you're going to be identifying a potential trade. And the same thing in a bullish market, right? If you're looking at bullish candles at a level of structure in a bullish market, showing you that the buyers are still in control, you're obviously going to identify some really accurate entries. And that's what we need to wait for, at least for Euro GBP on this. So if in fact this does reach that area, our last confirmation will be our candlesticks. So that's going to take time. And again, I'm just speaking on that because I took that L, not letting it truly develop. So I'm not going to make that same mistake here. I'm going to make sure that this actually shows us that it does in fact want to sell, and then we'll go ahead and profit off of that. But yeah, any questions? You guys are Gucci? Everybody taking notes? No specific markets you guys want to take a look at? Let me know. If so, I got you. Actually, I don't really like that trend line. And if you're wondering why I'm only on the 1 hour time frame and like the 4 hour time frame, is the majority of the time when I'm on these charts, I already have a strong understanding of the direction, the trend. So I'm only looking at more of the detail work so that way I can identify profitable positions, because I don't really have to go on to the daily or weekly and have so much marked up. You're going to only use those higher time frames to really dictate the direction and maybe even in the continuation of if that market is going to continue to be bullish and or bearish, because there are points on the higher time frames where you'll find PRZs, potential reversal zones, strong areas of structure where if you don't scale out to the higher time frame to identify those, you might think it's going to continue and it gives a strong reversal. So that's what you'll really want to identify on the higher time frames, and we've already established that with Euro GBP. So I've already said that I think this is going to now continue to push down a little bit lower or all the way down there. But with this market continuing to push down, or at least breaking lower, this is probably going to be our best spot. And let me see real quick. All right, nobody in the chat. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna go take a look at gold, see if there's any movement on that, because if we start seeing some bearish movement even before news, I might place a risky trade. And let me check GU. All right, so we're nearing our entry point for the sell limit on GU. And again, if anybody did not see that, you guys can take it right here. Somebody in the chat. Oh, okay. Oh, where is it? There we go. So again, if you guys want to take that entry, feel free to do so. And our trade setup looks like that. I did actually have a channel here, and I have no idea where it went. There we go. All right. Let me take a quick look at Bitcoin as well. Ah, there we go. All right, so I've actually been speaking on Bitcoin and trying to see if this will, in fact, continue to push down much lower into some very specific areas of structure. I do not day trade Bitcoin by no means, but I actually do invest into it. It's very important that you diversify the majority of your portfolio and just diversify your investments in general. I do see a strong continuation to the downside for Bitcoin and the majority of all cryptos. The one strongest area I'm looking at is right here, just around that $12,000 and $10,000 handle. So right there. So for me, if I can see crypto at least push back down to here, this is going to be our next strongest investment range. So if you guys are invested into cryptos or you're looking to, I would say hold off. And if you can take your profits, if you are in profits, I would say take that, because if this continues to push down lower, at least to this level, there's also this level that could be met as well, which I don't think anybody would want to hold to. So just roughly around that $5,000 to $3,000 handle, even $2,000 to be completely honest. So if you are, you said, yes, sir, can't wait. Oh, for crypto to crash? Yeah, I mean, if it does, we do get a better investment point, but at the same time, the amount of money that's lost for a lot of people will be kind of insane. But it does obviously give everybody anybody who's never invested into anything before, if you don't know anything about trading, they can still invest into this and make a lot of money. You know what I mean? So even for myself, I've taken the majority of my money out of cryptos and diversed it elsewhere. But if we can get back to these areas, I mean, I'm throwing everything down. I'm going to throw every last penny I got. You know what I mean? So this would be our best investment range. Because at 4,000, even 2,000, let's say it's at 2,000, which I do believe will probably be the initial price, right? Where is 2,000? There we go. I do think 2,000 will be the initial price, because that's where the majority of the skyrocket happened. Because you can see we had the first initial push, and then as soon as it broke out of that level, it was game over. You know what I mean? So if we could push it down to the 2000 handle, I will put everything I have down. And if we end up being, you know, from 2000 back up to 70,000 and above, you probably won't hear from me again. I don't think anybody. Where I can trade now. What do you mean where I can trade now? As far as like a broker, are you asking what broker you could use? Be more specific. I'm confused as to what you mean by where can I trade now. You can trade anywhere you want, baby. Let me just go back to gold real quick. Again, I'm just seeing if we can identify any potential opportunities before news. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. We do have news coming out in 30 minutes. So the market really won't give us much volatility on the US cross pairs up until then. But again, if we can identify even the earliest opportunity, I want to see if there's something that we could do with that as well. Let me go back to Gbpjpy USD. If you guys, again, I guess this is what you mean, broski Hermes. This is something that I'm actually looking at as far as a trade opportunity is concerned, that Gbpjpy USD sell limit. If you guys have not, again, seen it, it's right here. I know a lot of people have just came back into the to the YouTube. So I did put a sell limit signal out in our Discord. If you are not in our Discord, feel free to go into the description below. Grab the link, join the community, receive signals. I wouldn't say daily. I try to make sure that my students are receiving the majority or all the value, if anything. But I do want to make sure that as I'm teaching you guys, right, and as I teach you guys, I want you guys to actually make profits. So I do share some signals there. Sometimes, you know, 1 or 2 signals even given a week will equal 200 to 300 pips, because I know it sounds weird, but I'm trying to get anywhere between 50, 100 to 200 pips on each trade. Those are my three take profits. So if you want to actually be updated with any trade signals so you can trade now, you can go ahead and do that. But this is the only trade I'm currently seeing for a sell limit for you guys. So if that's what you mean, broski Hermes, there you go. There's a trade set up for now. But again, with the news that is going to be put out here in a few minutes, or half hour rather, that is going to give us the true identity, right? The true idea of what's going to happen with the initial dollar. So if anything, if let's say this pushes up and hits your sell limit and it just continues to push up higher, that's news, right? That's going to be the news. So this is a very risky trade setup. Or it really can just do something like this. Come back up, technical stand, or not just the technical idea, just the news sometimes is released against the initial, you know, pair, and then it just follows where it originally wanted to go. The news has sometimes like it doesn't last, right? As soon as the dust settles, it goes right back into the original direction it had intended on going. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for right now with Gbpjpy USD. So if that's what you mean, broskis, that's what I got for you, at least for now, right? It's only Tuesday. There are going to be days where it will have so much news that you don't want to trade because of how much risk there's going to be. There's probably going to be days where there's absolutely no opportunities. Sometimes that's best because there's no money lost. So if you can't find a trade opportunity that day, nothing, you know, you don't feel too confident about things, that's perfectly fine. That's actually a good thing, because what you're doing is you're being disciplined and you're respecting the fact that, well, I need to be a professional with this. So it's not a bad thing if you can't find a trade, if there is not a trade as well. But if that's what you're asking, there you go, broskies. But yeah, what other questions you guys got, if any? A lot of you guys just be paying attention, which is dope. It's dope. But I want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance, really helping you guys understand what's needed to be profitable, because this is your time. You know what I mean? I'm doing this. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for fun, literally, because it helps me stay very perfect on the charts. Excuse me. It helps me stay perfect on the charts, because if I'm having people watch what I'm doing as far as my trading, I'm trying to mark things up, I can't really have any discrepancies. I got to be perfect, and that helps me be more profitable and helps my students, because I'm able to find great trades, great signals, and entries for the auto trader. So yeah, if y'all guys got anything, feel free to let me know. So what I do now? Well, you got to be more specific, my mans. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. You free. You're your own person. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want. That was like a tongue twister I was trying to say for a second. But yeah, bro, you do whatever you want. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, though. You got to be specific. You're saying, what do I do now? What are you asking on? You know what I mean? You got to be a lot more specific on that, my G. So I'm still looking at sells on EU. So I want to see if the news can give us the volatility needed for our potential trades that I'm looking for setting up. Aha. I knew there was a trade or something I was looking at previously and I couldn't find it. So I'll actually break EuroCAD down. And actually, if anyone even remembers, because I know I did because I was mad that I didn't place a trade. But I know previously somebody was asking about EuroCAD and they placed a sell, and I suggested that it probably wasn't the best entry because it was just not close enough to its potential. I would say the best potential area where an entry should be made. So we're talking about over here. And let me see if my replay button works because some reason, now it wants to work. So weirdly, my replay button was not working at all. So we were literally, if I'm correct, it was something like this. They were looking at a trade and they placed their sell here. So as they placed their sell, I'm like, I don't think that's the best area because it's not really meeting the level of structure it needs to, and there's no confluence really dictated at that area. So I said your best bet is to probably identify your entries where market structure was broken, where support was, and resistance is. You can clearly see that this is a break to the downside. This is really important to look at and understand, right? You see the break. That's confirming that sellers are still in the market. Not only is that confirming sellers, that's confirming an entry. You always want to make sure that you're looking for your entries at the most relevant levels of structure and price. That is the most important thing that I hope everyone can take with them. So when you identify the most significant level of price, you're then going to identify confluences in that area. One of the confluences that we can add is your Fibonacci retracement tool. And you can see here from swing high to swing low, we actually were able to identify the 71.1 and the 78.6 fib ratio. Now, I don't get specific when I'm looking at a fib ratio. I'm making sure that there's confluence with every entry. So I can see 71.1. If you're not familiar with that, that's considered a minor level of fib, but it's definitely usable. So if I go ahead and do this, let me press play. You can see how it came back to that level of structure and it respected that 78.6 fib ratio. Now, I did not place this trade, and I'm really angry. This is why I remember it. But this just goes to show that when you identify your most relevant level of structure and you add confluence within that point, you're going to be able to identify an accurate entry. Now, candlesticks did play a huge part here. You can see your bearish variance all throughout this area, and you can just consider this whole thing a railroad track. What that means is when you get a railroad track, that's, I guess, the terminology that's used, that's showing you that the market doesn't have the volatility or energy anymore to break that level of structure. And you can see here, it just continued to push down much lower. The reason why we're speaking on this is because there is another entry on this, and I'm hoping we didn't just miss it because I want to see if it can push back up. I marked up EuroCAD last night. I'm in profits on right now. Beautiful, because I'm kind of wanting to place an entry on this because we're getting the same idea, right? Break, retest, nothing different. What happened here is going to happen here. Because now look, I'm going to scale to the 4 hours so that way we can see it a little bit better, right? You can see the break of this level of structure. Let me go ahead and replay this. So now you can see the current break of this structure. What was supports will end up being a level of resistance. Nothing complicated. Now, if we go ahead, let me slow this down a little bit. You can see the market correcting. What do you do when you have a correction? You identify the most relevant level of price and then the confluence that proceeds within it. So I'm going to draw this up. Right? Because again, I'm not going to be specific on a fib ratio. I'm just going to make sure that I'm identifying where all the confluence is meeting. The structure, the fib. If there's a trend line, you use that there. Why is everybody hitting me up on Facebook? That's like so distracting. My bad. Like 3 people just hit me back up on Facebook. asking questions that they can ask on here. That's really weird. You guys can ask on here, guys. I don't know if you know that. But again, I want to make sure that I'm identifying the most relevant level of price and the confluences that come within there. So I'm looking at a fib ratio for confluence in this sense, and we're now getting the 50% retrace ratio. We're also starting to receive some bearish rejection. Not completely confirmed, right? This still has a whole hour to close. This candle can close as whatever it wants, but if we scale down to a smaller time frame, being the 1 hour, we're already kind of getting an early idea of that, right? So I might actually go ahead and start looking for sells on EuroCAD, even, I wouldn't say now, but shortly. Let me see the 15. I actually do like that. So, So what I'm looking at right now is this being a double top. A very weird one because it did technically break above structure. But in essence, that really would be a double top. And it did break below and retest there. So, you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to sell EuroCAD. I'm personally going to sell EuroCAD. My trade setup will look like this. So you guys, if you don't want to take the risk, you do not have to. This is not a trade-off. This is not something I normally even do. So my man Broski Hermes, I'm pretty sure that's what you wanted. You just want to, what do I trade now? Like, I'm pretty sure that's all you gave a fuck about. There you go. There's your trade now. So I'll be looking at sells on EuroCAD. Very self-explanatory. I might go ahead and place that for our auto trader here in a second as well. But with the analysis that's given, with me even looking at this prior, understanding the same concept that I've been using forever is not going to really change. I would think that EuroCAD is a nice sell. So this is what the trade setup would look like. The stop loss is going to be about 30. I'd make it 35 pips just to round it off. And then your take profit is a smooth 100 pips to this level of structure. So again, you do not have to place that trade, but that's something I like. So I'm going to go ahead and place it real quick on my phone. Where? Oh, there it is. Oh, I definitely don't want to be using that lot size. Not for this right now. I place a ridiculous lot size. So I have a thing in our Discord for students where it says big lot size signals. And for the majority of our trades, especially the ones that I tell them like, yo, I'm going heavy on. But yeah, I use a pretty heavy lot size yesterday, but I'm not using that for this one. So there we go. All right, so if you guys were able to place that, I mean, it does seem like you guys should be in small profits. I'm not. I just placed it. So my entry is a little bit lower. My entry is like right here. But at the time of saying it, you guys should be, I don't know, in small profits if you did. But that's what our trade setup will, in fact, look like. So you're looking at a 35 pip stop loss and a 100 pip gain. Just about, it says 99 pips. So yeah, 99 pips, 100 pips, rounded off. But I do like the way that has set up. So my man Rome already said that he's in profits. Hopefully does your markup look like this? Third touch of 1 hour trend line trigger. I did have a trend line there, didn't I? This is why I hate deleting my analysis. If I'm correct, my trend line looks something like this. I don't know if that was okay. If you marked a trend line like that, I could understand that. That's, yeah. I don't know if I had my trend line exactly like that, to be completely honest. But yes, 100%. If I didn't have it like that, it was probably because I probably did something like this. I personally think I might have had my trend line something like that. But if you're looking at it in that aspect, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I personally like the way that looks. And yeah, yo, Rome, does your chart, it looks something like that? Yeah, I like that a lot. That looks really good. So if you guys want to place that, by all means, feel free to do so. If not, if you're like, yo, that doesn't look great at all, you don't have to. Yep, it did. Perfect. Looks like everything I told you still works. My man Rome probably running it up over there. You're what, New Zealand, right? I gotta come out there. I heard it's beautiful over there. I heard it is gorgeous. I wouldn't even mind living out there, yo. I heard it's peaceful. It's gorgeous. The weather's great. You know what I mean? Food's amazing. I had it like that. Perfect. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking at as well. So if you're looking at the same thing, I think you are definitely set. And look at that. It is definitely pushing. So I might end up in small profits here as well. There you go. So yeah, beautiful trade setup. And just real quick, I want everybody to take, and this is not some like I'm flexing type shit. This is just to go to show that the simple concepts in trading work. You know, and I don't want to, you know, speak too early and then this thing just fucking buys like crazy. But currently, right now, that's a really good setup. And it just goes to show that simple analysis, identifying just concepts that make sense. You don't have to have these, you know, confusing trading systems, insane indicators. You don't have to have things like that in order to become profitable, right? Let me just mark this. I'm going to delete the fib here because it looks crazy. But again, you don't have to have these insane concepts with trading to become profitable. And a lot of people always say, you know, Jay, you're only trading structure, support, resistance. I mean, it works, you know, especially when you're adding such confluence put together. So yeah, so far so good. I'm in small profits here on EuroCAD. Hopefully you guys were able to place it as well. If you didn't, it is okay. No harm done. But yeah, somebody said, I learned from you, bro, 100. Yeah, absolutely, bro. I appreciate you being one of the best students too. You are an amazing student. And I say that because you obviously learned everything that I had to teach and you're making your own moves and obviously big money moves too, because we're looking at the same exact thing. So yeah, you definitely paid attention, my guy. I'm honestly really proud of that. I really am. And that was the whole essence of why I did that and why these teachings are important. You know what I mean? Like everything I'm doing right now with you guys is what I taught my mans before. And now he's using that. Are you still funded? I'm sure you're still funded and shit, right? Because my man was killing it on his funded account after he passed. You know what I mean? So if you out there still killing it with your funded account, I see you. Somebody said US30. So before US30, before we actually speak on this again, understand that there's heavy news, heavy news coming out. And really soon, you know what I mean? Just over 10 minutes. So I do think though, with the break of that should tell you everything, because this was in a strong ranging market. I'll go into a higher time frame. This was a pretty ranging market for a bit. I wouldn't even draw it that far back. So this being the range here, I would say that since it's broken above, you're looking at continued buys on US30. You know, you're not going to overcomplicate it. You don't want to say, well, is this time for a sell? When you broke above previous highs now, you broke out of that range. So I do think that US30 is a continued buy. But we can't say that too confidently just yet, only because, again, that news will dictate what a lot of the markets will be doing soon. Somebody said, but if you think about it, every day, or everybody trades support and resistance because those are high probability setups. Former student of yours, by the way, and I'm thriving. Yo, my mans, I appreciate that. Or my goddess, I don't know who it is. It says Mills. I had like 5 mils. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm sorry. But yo, I appreciate that. But yeah, you're absolutely right in the sense of when the majority of all trading styles are based around structure, based around price. Because what ends up happening is you're not. Like if I was to delete everything off this chart and I told somebody, where do you think the best areas are to buy and sell from? And I'm only speaking specifically here on US30 because this is a very easy concept and it's actually something I learned first before understanding how to trade a trending market. I'm a woman. Okay, I know who it is. What's up? I had to make sure I didn't want to be like, my nigga. You know what I mean? But nah, so what I'm looking at is if anybody was to see this, right, and you told somebody, yo, what's the best area for you to buy and sell? So the first thing somebody's going to say is, I'm going to look to sell from here. Why? Because it's sold from there before. Where would you like to buy from? Probably from here. Why? Because it bought from there before. Simple concepts, right? But a lot of people don't understand that when you're playing with any strategy is going to be based around these areas, these strong structure points. What's supply and demand trading? It's support and resistance just wrapped up with a different bow. Order blocks is an institutional level of structure or price where the market is going to make a strong move from. It's not. It's literally just a level of structure, price, support, and or resistance, and people are just trying to like identify a specific candlestick where orders are. That's not how that works. And I really don't know much about order blocks, so if I'm wrong on that, just let me know. And institutional trading, I mean, I'm sure that banks and people with billions and trillions of dollars do have a much different approach. But when we're looking at the overall census, we're not looking at anything too much different. Yes, people just trade fundamentals and news and don't use technical analysis. But at the same time, it's like, for us, we don't have that luxury of knowing the news. So the easiest thing for us to grasp onto is price. And everything is revolved around that. So any strategy that's just like, yo, I have the guru strategy, there is none. It's literally support, resistance, and the confluence that's proceeded within it. But yeah, US30, continued buys. Let me see what you guys got. Oh, y'all just laughing at me? I'm just being real, yo, because I ain't gonna lie. I did have a student, because I said, what's up, bro? Just like that, I was like, what's up, bro? And it was a woman, and I was speaking to like so many people that day, and I didn't take a look at the profile picture, but it wasn't like a very common woman's name, and I was like, okay, it was like Jerry something, but it was like Jerry for short, what her first name was or her whole name, and I thought it was a dude. She got so mad. I was like, I'm so sorry. So I gotta always make sure. AUD CAD look good to give him one. AUD CAD, I was actually looking at that too. I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at AUD CAD. This is actually, it's not at the spot. So I was hoping for it to, it actually kind of did. So I was looking at sells from here too, to be completely honest. And you can see why. Simple concept. Why? This was a head and shoulders pattern. Actually, I'll just mark this up fully. So my man Rome out here giving y'all gems, making me give y'all gems basically. But yeah, no, I know AUD CAD's a strong sell. Again, I'm on the smaller time frame right now because I have a strong understanding of the majority of these markets. I was looking for some sells on AUD CAD because the previous head and shoulders was broken. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. That neckline right here is broken. So with the break of that neckline, I'm always going to try to identify a potential entry at that point. So what we can see is exactly that. So we go ahead, take our fibs, swing high, swing low, and it didn't hit that 786 yet though. So for me, this is where I do get specific. For me, it has to at least respect the fib ratio. It can't just break above it and that's it, or below it and that's it. In this case, above it. So I do want to get specific if there is an entry on this for that 786. If it doesn't reach there, then that's on me. But that's just my discipline, because if you want, again, low drawdown, place accurate entries, you want to stay disciplined to the idea of placing the most accurate entries. And I would say that I will stay disciplined and stay to the 786. That's just me. And you said I'm in small profits. What you do? You sold it? If you sold it, did you sell it based off of everything I just put right now? If so, that's crazy. Let me go take a look at EuroCAD for you guys. Okay, still running good for you guys. So yeah, a little bit of a late entry, but definitely a really solid setup. So as you guys can see, I don't even know how many pips you guys are up right now. Just about 14, depending on where you guys entered. I probably have like 8 pips because I entered a little bit late as I was marking it up. I wasn't able to place it immediately, but I did get into it briefly. So let me go back to AUD CAD. So if anything, I will have my trade setup look like this. And you guys can use this if you want. You can even go ahead, place a sell limit. I don't suggest it, but I would start looking at an entry like that. So I would actually put my stop loss. Actually, let me see this. Okay, I was like, where's the previous highs at? So just above the previous highs, that's about 30 pips. And just about, I would actually say, I wouldn't try to extend it to that. Almost 90 pips. But if you're already in that trade roam, I mean, I would say trust your analysis, because obviously you've been correct, you've been right for so long. But as far as my discipline, that would kind of be where I would look. Only because, again, I want to make sure that the confluence meets, that I have my structure respected, that I have my fib respected. If there was a trend line in the mix, I don't really think we can add one. Definitely can't, right? Not yet, at least. Because what we can do in the future is maybe do something like this. But there's no third touch of that trend line. So we can't say, oh, the trend line is being respected. We have to have a third touch for this trend line to be confirmed. When we get that, then we could use this as confluence in the future. But right now, not so much. So right now, this is what I would look at. That would be my entry. If you are in small profits, beautiful. If that continues, which I do think it will, you're going to make some really good profit. So yeah, my man out here killing it. I marked it up and just added a notification to it. What's crazy is, so what I do is right before the calls, I'll go ahead and delete all my analysis just so that way I can start fresh, really show you guys from scratch, from top to bottom, because I do believe that helps the most. I just want to have shit just on my chart, like, yep, this is why, what I think. No, I want to break it down. So yeah, I think that with your notification and marking it up is beautiful. I just don't do that so that way I can break it down for you guys in real time. But let me go back to, let's see what's gold. Okay. So what I'm looking at is, and this is not by any means true, or like a fact, if you will. I wouldn't say true because I do believe in it. Before news, I do believe that there are technical standpoints or technical factors that we can identify that show what the move is going to be. Obviously, we're in a bearish market. That's 50% of my work done because I know that sellers are mainly in control. But that doesn't really have the best, take when it comes to fundamentals, because when the news is released, it could do whatever it wants. But we're already starting to see the rejection before the news has happened. I want to say that I want to be risky because we're starting to see a lot of bearish momentum leading into news. That is a theory. A theory that I have is, not only do we trade the news as retail traders, yes, banks, and I would say, if you want to call them institutions, do trade the news with large amounts of money. That strong volatility in the direction with minutes leading into news, I've noticed is like a tall tale factor of what may happen. And I say may because nothing is confirmed. Nothing's 100% when it comes to trading whatsoever. But we're starting to see a lot of bearish momentum here. Let me go back to Gbpjpy USD. All right. Okay. So we're starting. So what I'm looking at here, and I'm sorry, I went off track, but I'm trying to correlate. We're starting to see, and if you notice something, I was looking at all US cross pairs. They're all starting to show the dollar gaining some strength. Now, it doesn't necessarily confirm anything at all. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to see if we could call the trade for the news before news happens. So I might go ahead, be stupid risky, and place a sell on gold. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because I like to test my theories and execute them so that way I know whether I'm wrong or right. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to learn if something is a true fact if you're not executing and trying to find out. So I'm going to go ahead and be crazy and place a ridiculously stupid trade. We got a good trade on EuroCAD, but I don't recommend anybody doing this. I'm personally going to do this. I really don't think you guys should. So if you guys don't want to take the risk, you don't have to. I'm actually going to have a 70 pip stop loss because we all know how gold works. And I'm not going to have a take profit because if that sells, that's just not going to stop. I do advise you do not take this trade. Like, I'm not even joking, only because it's risky. This is just a theory that I have, but I want to test it out, obviously live with you guys. And let me go ahead. Where is my shit? I'm going to see if I can place it before the news even comes out. But again, if you guys, I don't really think you guys should place it, but let's test it. Let's see. Let's see if that's a thing. And I'm trying to see, there's gold. Oh, and I'm not by no means putting a big lot size because again, with the risk comes a lot of loss if this does end up losing. So no, definitely not. I'm not putting no 20, 30, 40, 50 standards. Okay. So let's see. We do have literally 1 minute left. So I want to see what initially happens. So again, if you're not privy to what's going on, we do have US news coming out literally in a few seconds. So I'm just seeing if I could be risky enough to be correct about my little theory here. What do you think about sell stops on gold around 85 or 1855 or 1850? 1855. I mean, that's completely up to you. I mean, I'm currently in a trade right now on gold. I wouldn't necessarily say a sell stop or a buy stop. I know that little strategy where people are like, if I put a buy stop and a sell stop and one will cancel out the other and one be profitable. Like, I don't think that's the best strategy, in my opinion. I don't even think placing this dumbass sell for gold right now is a good idea. Oh, or maybe. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if you put your sell stop, you're good. But if you place a trade with me, I guess you're good too. But yeah, looks like it came out positive for the dollar. I'm just going to see if it did. Yep, positive for the dollar. Gucci. So if you did place it, now this is where it gets a lot of people too. The market will give you your strong push and test your patience with this giant, like it'll wick to the downside. It'll come back up, probably meet your entry point. This is where if you did place it, just move your stop loss to break even or take profits. You know what I mean? I don't even know how many pips that was. That's a pretty big, I think it's like 100 pips already or almost. So, I mean, if you want to hold, move your stop loss to break even, just so that way you don't risk any more, but solid trade. So for my man Broski's, trade now. What do now? I don't think Gbpjpy is going to meet our requirement, unfortunately, which sucks because that looked like the best area. But news did in fact at least affect us positively for the dollar. Which, if you did sell gold, you guys are good. But yeah, questions, comments, any other markets you guys want to take a look at, feel free to let me know. We did in fact go ahead, place a risky trade. It did work out for us. If anything, if I did put a take profit, that would have been my first take profit. That would have been hit, but I'm going to hold. I should actually put a big ass lot size, to be honest. The one time I actually don't put a big lot size, I should have. But if you guys want to hold that, that's perfectly fine. Or if not, because we are seeing some respect of that level of structure, that support zone. It has not been broken as of yet. This candle still has a half hour to form and close. So it doesn't seem like it's so much bearish anymore. But next thing you know, before that candle closes for the hour, it ends up extremely bearish. That's what I'm hoping for. If we do get that, beautiful. If not, doesn't matter. Oh, and look at that. You know what I mean? This is why the news is crazy. And I say and advise stop loss to break even or take profits, because that usually ends up happening. So let's initially see what happens. But that's why I don't like trading the news. Oh, that's very bullish now. That's really weird because it came out positive for the dollar, but it actually is now going against it. I want to see what happens. I want to see if this is going to stay bullish or if it just immediately comes back down. Good thing my shit automatically goes to break even. I'm just identifying this. I want to see. Because if this actually breaks above this structure point, we can go ahead and change our bias and then look for continued buys. Now, I'm not the type of person that trades breakouts, if anybody's wondering, even especially during the news, but I want to see. So what I'm going to actually do is get rid of this. I'm going to change bias real quick. So what I'm looking at is if in fact this does want to continue to be bullish, I want to see if there's a potential re-entry for that. So if you guys were able to profit on that or at least break even, beautiful, because that shit gave us great profits. I said, nah, you're good. And this is exactly why I personally never really trade the market, trade the news. But we did get a positive reaction at first, but then this is the craziness that happens after. And after the dust settles, meaning that when the candle closes a few hours after the news happens and it truly develops, we'll see if this wants to continue to be bullish as well. But it's really ping-ponging between this area. It really is. That's why I'm like, are we going to have a break above, or is this actually going to continue to sell? So this is why it's important to always let your trade even develop, because now it's like, it's really questioning itself, like, do I want to be bullish or do I want to be bearish? So we might actually get, if we do get respect at this point, and I'm not talking about with this candle, I'm talking about with multiple candles, because this candle can close right below this level of structure and the volatility carries over into the next candle and continues bullish. If this is respected with multiple candles, we start seeing some bearish variance as well, then in the future we could place a self even from here. But as of right now, that does not look favorable or even confirmed for anything at that, for this matter. Doesn't know whether it wants to buy or sell. The wicks on NAS and US30 are crazy. Took the money and ran. Oh, yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, same thing. You know what I mean? And this is why I was explaining before that you're not wanting to really trade these, because I know we traded gold. Gold's a lot more forgiving than indices like US30 and NAS 100, right? So yeah, with this, that probably got everybody. Probably people were like selling and it bought, and people were buying and it sold. So, or if anybody just bought and held, like that's beautiful too. And I did say like this is going to continue to be more bullish in the sense because we did get a break of that initial structure, or the high of this range rather. So, I mean, it's doing exactly that. So I would say US30 will be a continued buy. We don't know, because look at that candle. That candle looks crazy. It's like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know if I want to be bullish. I don't know if I want to be bearish. I'll decide this later. So yeah, something like this, don't even touch it. Don't even touch it. But yeah, we did get that big volatility we were saying for the news release. Let me go back to gold. Yeah, so they're very confused in the sense of what they want to do. The news initially came out positive for the US dollar, which would mean that gold would sell off. It did. It sold off beautifully for like 15 seconds and then said, wait a minute, what am I doing? And then just came right back up to these levels of structure, these highs. But it's still within that range, right? So let's give it a little bit of time and see if there is, or if there's a strong level of respect from here. Because if there is, I'm absolutely going to go ahead and look for some continued sells. But if it's broken to the upside, then we know that this is not a continued sell. We change our bias and then we move forward and look for some buy entries. But yeah, that's core CPI. That's fundamental. That's news for you. That's why, that's how crazy the markets can be. Gbpjpy USD sells triggered. Oh, it did shoot up to that point. Okay, beautiful. So let's see if that works, because that, as soon as it was triggered, it seemed like it almost came to the stop loss. So this is why it's extremely risky to be trading during the news. But I hope that this does, in fact, offer some profits for you guys. So let me see EuroCAD. Okay, just chilling there. So kind of right back at entries. That weirdly had a reaction to the news as well. Core CPI is a U.S. news event. I don't know why that was so heavily affected. But yeah, let's see how Gbpjpy USD works out. I did again put this signal out for you guys in the Discord. If you have not seen it, it looks like this. If you are not a part of the Discord, feel free to go into the description below, grab the link, join our community. Again, I'm just trying to grow this community through actual education, real profits, real transparency as well. Like I'm not gonna shy away from losses. I'm not gonna shy away from wins or the mistakes I make by hiring people. Yeah, I mean, and like I'm not gonna be, you know, that type of person. So I'm always gonna be very transparent. And I want to show you with these sessions. I want to show you with the growth of our community, the amount of value that we provide. So yeah, definitely. And if you have not already liked the video, please do that as well. It definitely helps grow the community, and I promise the more that we grow, the more value I plan on producing for everybody, not just legacy students, not just, you know, for our auto trader, literally for everybody. So the more we grow, the more you guys are going to grow with me. So I definitely appreciate that if you could like the video, if you have not already. If you haven't subscribed, do the same. I'm working on some series for you guys to really help you guys understand trading a little bit more, and also provide some resources that are out there for free that you guys can find on your own. But I know it's somewhat difficult to see which ones are the best. I'm going to try to make a series where I could show you what best free things that you guys can use for your Forex trading. So if you haven't subscribed, definitely do that. So that way when those drop, you stay updated and connected with that as well. So definitely appreciate you guys if you guys did that. So yeah, let's see how Gbp USD is going to do. Hopefully Euro CAD comes back into profits for us as well. Let me go ahead and see what gold is doing. Look at that. Look at that. Right back to basic. Where was our entries is like somewhere over here if I'm correct. So yeah, this doesn't know what it wants to do. So once the dust settles, if you will, we'll be able to identify some strong opportunities. Now it's selling pretty heavily again. There you go. So, I mean, if anybody's still in this, hopefully you end up in profits. I do think that gold will continue to sell. I know it looks a little weird, but with the news release for the dollar being more valuable, I do think that we'll start to see this push down much more. But yeah, any other questions? Anything else you guys got for me? If not, we'll conclude for today. I got to make sure that I'm managing our auto trader, managing any signals. So I got to answer some students back as well. And then also I completely forgot, today's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hopefully you enjoy it with your loved ones and you're able to have an amazing day. Don't party too hard. If you guys need Ubers and cabs and stuff, I've done it before. I will get it for you. Don't drive, don't drive crazy, but just enjoy your day. If anybody needs anything, I'm always there for you guys. Do you use magic keys? I actually do not, but I've considered it, but I really don't see the reasoning behind it. I'm just old school. I do think it's a great concept. It's a good tool. It's really good. But I'm just old school. I'm pretty old school with my approach. And it's also because, I don't know, I feel like if I'm the magic keys makes me feel like I'm detached from the chart. I want to feel like I'm, I don't know, one, if you will. I know everybody has like their little, routines and mantras, but I like to actually be more involved in the chart. And I feel like marking it up, actually doing everything by hand, it's a better, I feel more confident, if that makes sense. Yep, never a problem, my man Rome. I hope you're still killing it, bro. I mean, you're definitely killing it because you're still marking up your chart the same way I'm looking at things. So yeah, I know you're out there balling. But yeah, for magic keys, I think it's great. It's a great tool, but no, I do not, unfortunately. I don't really know many people who do. Not saying that, people don't. I haven't seen a lot of traders use it. I know a few like YouTube streamers do because like the affiliate side and stuff, but nah, I don't. But yeah, any other questions? Any other markets you guys want to take a look at? Feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. Again, I just want to make sure that everyone is taken care of, everyone's learning, everyone's profiting, and getting the best amount of value as possible. So yeah, looks like everything had a reaction to news. And what's crazy too, I was going to start looking for some sells on these yen pairs, and thankfully, thank God I didn't. Looks like everybody's Gucci. All right, so what we'll do is we'll conclude for today. Damn, that should have just said, I don't know what I want to be. That had no idea what it want to be either. So yeah, a lot of these US cross pairs, it came out really weird. So we'll let these develop and see how things go. Yep, never a problem. I definitely appreciate you guys. We'll catch back on first thing tomorrow morning. I know you guys, if you guys are going to be partying, I probably won't see you guys. But if you guys do have the time to be on even tomorrow, that'll be great. I would highly appreciate it. But yeah, with that being said, we'll conclude for today. Yep, I appreciate you, LA. I appreciate every last one of you. Again, if you have not liked the video, feel free to do so, or please do so that way we can grow this community. The more value that I want, or the more people that we could, impact in a positive manner, the more value I want to give to you guys. And I have a lot of ideas for that. So I want to grow this community through the value, the transparency, and the profits that's provided. So definitely, if you can, I highly appreciate it. Everybody, enjoy your Valentine's Day. Have an amazing day. Stay safe. Again, if there's anything else that you guys ever need from me, feel free to hit me up directly on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, whatever platform you can find me on. By all means, feel free to do so. Thank you guys. Have an amazing day. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys.